My name is Rick Van Glahn, and I'm running for the United States Congress in the 11th District in New Jersey. I've been a New Jersey resident all my life, and have called Denville my home for the last 23 years. I've been married to my beautiful wife Peg for 24 years, and we have 3 sons, Johnny, Richie, and Daniel. Both Richie and Daniel have enlisted in the United States Marine Corps, and Richie is currently serving on active duty in Japan. While the boys were growing up, we were always busy with school functions, sporting events, and scouting program. As the boys grew, I began to get more involved with our church, Resurrection Parish in Randolph. And in 2004, I began to study more about my faith and was ordained a deacon in 2009. Since that time, I've been involved with different ministries, such as with the Department of Persons with Disabilities through Catholic Charities, and I'm currently affiliated with the Pastoral Care Department at Morristown Medical Center. I'm also involved in my home parish, serving in various ministries and liturgical functions. Throughout our life together, I've been self-employed as a home improvement contractor. I started my own business in 1989, and I continue to work in that field today. You and I can see, as the people who make our country work, that our economy is not improving. Work is sporadic, regulations have increased, costs have skyrocketed on everything, including insurance, taxes and fees, materials, and gasoline. Everything that we need to run a business just keeps going up. And at the same time, the cost of consumer goods and all the staples of life, such as food, clothing, electricity, and everything, has risen dramatically. What's not increasing? Our incomes. The amount of money that we make and need to take care of our family has stagnated or even fallen over the last 5 or 6 years. While there are many reasons for this sagging economy that we have, the main reason is that the federal government has become too big, too costly, and too intrusive in our lives. Our federal government has grown to be, as one writer recently pointed out, the nation's largest creditor, debtor, lender, employer, consumer, contractor, grantor, property owner, tenant, insurer, healthcare provider, and pension guarantor. The federal government has become the regulator of almost all aspects of our lives and dictates and mandates most everything, no matter how minute and mundane, right down to the types of toilets that we use and the kinds of light bulbs that we're able to buy. The federal government is everywhere in our lives. It's designing our cars, it's mandating what our kids study in school, telling us what we should eat and drink. It's also mandating what kind of health care we are supposed to have. It keeps tabs on us by monitoring and collecting our personal communications through agencies that we pay for. Is this the way it was supposed to be? Is this what the founders had in mind when they wrote about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Our government was designed to be run by the people. It was supposed to be a government of citizen servants. The federal government was supposed to have limited power, and there were checks and balances put in place to keep it so. Since that time, that model of citizen government has been replaced with a permanent ruling class. What we have today is a government full of career politicians, more concerned with their re-election rather than doing what they were elected to do. They govern by polls, with an eye on the politics of an issue, weighing how an issue can either hurt or help their re-election, rather than governing for the good of the hard-working, tax-paying citizens of our country. Congressman Frelinghuysen is one of those career politicians. In 1972, Congressman Frelinghuysen was first appointed to government. Since that time, he has spent 42 years in government. In all of his years, he's never worked outside of the government, always receiving a paycheck from the taxpayers. He's never had to make a payroll. He's never had to drum up work. He's always been insulated from the realities of the economy. He was born and bred of government. And though I commend his service, I think it's about time he retired. Like many people in Washington today, they only know one thing, and that's government. And government has at this point in time 3 major functions. One is to restrict our freedoms and liberties through legislation and regulations. The second is figuring out ways to take our hard-earned money through taxation and fees. The third is figuring out ways to spend that hard-earned money that they take from us. And at that, they are all adept at. When Congressman Frelinghuysen assumed office in 1994, our national debt was $4.9 trillion. Today, as I speak, the national debt is over $17.5 trillion. According to the CBO, the federal government consumes almost 25% of all goods and services produced each year by the American people. This is a far cry from the idea of limited government that the Founding Fathers had envisioned. The debt that is owed by each individual taxpayer is over $150,000. Spending has been higher than revenue every year since 1969. Now, Congressman Frelinghuysen and all of his comrades in Congress don't conduct themselves that way with their own money. Why do they think that it's okay to overspend with our hard-earned money? Congressman Frelinghuysen and the entire Congress, with a few exceptions, seems to have no qualms about spending way more money than the government takes in every year. This is a complete dereliction of duty. And the worst part is that these people, the people that we elected to watch over the purse, are piling debt on generations that haven't even been born yet. They don't have a problem with spending today and having our children and grandchildren pay for it later on. Pet projects, massive increases in social spending, payoffs to special interest groups, in return for what? For votes. We haven't even seen the worst of it yet, either. Just wait. Except for the drag on the economy and the stagnation of job creation due to Obamacare, the effects of this monstrosity have yet to hit with full force. We think the economy's bad now? All those people who thought they were going to get free health care, wait until they see how expensive free health care can be, and just what it does to job creation. This is the greatest example of, hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. We all know how well that always goes. You know, for years I worked hard and I lived within my means. I was very careful not to overextend myself. I never looked to the government for anything. All the while I kept an eye on what was happening in government and hoped that at some point Congress would just do the right thing. With each budget battle, with every spending bill, I hoped that someone with integrity, someone with guts, would stand up for us and say, enough is enough. We as a people have to realize that is never going to happen. The people who are there now, the people that we elected, are never going to change. We also have to acknowledge that it's not just the other people's guy that's to blame. It's the guy that we've sent there time and time and time again. He's to blame. Has Congressman Frelinghuysen and the rest of Congress secured the border the way that we wanted them to? No. Even though the majority of the people think that's the first step to improving our immigration problem. Have the people that we sent there to represent us done anything to force the Obama administration to uphold our laws when it comes to our immigration policies? No. Obama and his Department of Justice pick and choose the laws that they think should be enforced, with no repercussions or protests from the House. Have they defunded or repealed any of the edicts of Obamacare? No. My friends, that's why I'm here. I'm tired of waiting for Congressman Frelinghuysen to fight for us. He's had over 20 years to show strength and leadership, and what have we gotten? Go along to get along. Well, I do say enough is enough. My friends, I'm here to ask for your vote in the Republican primary this June. I'm asking you to stand with me to fight against the career politicians who take us for granted. Politicians who no longer fear us, thinking that a seat belongs to them because of longevity. Or worse yet, because they're part of a dynasty, as I've heard the Frelinghuysen family referred as. My friends, we don't have dynasties in this country. We don't have political royalty in the United States. Friends, I'm asking for your help in restoring the citizen government that it was supposed to be. The power of government comes from the people, and it's time we, the people, took it back. Friends, think about it. Think about how our country used to be. Everyone working hard, taking chances on a dream, prospering, people working together, looking out for each other. Don't we want our kids and grandkids to have that same kind of life? Don't we want them to have the same opportunity to dream? If we don't do something to change the direction of our country, they will never know how great this country can be. And they will never know what greatness they are capable of. The only way to change the direction that we are headed in is to change the people that we elect. We can do this. We can do this together. It means taking a chance and trying something different. It means going against the conventional wisdom and throwing the so-called experienced experts out and trusting in people who actually make the country work. Today I'm asking you to please vote for me in the June 3rd primary. I want to fight for you and I want to fight for your family by working to restore the greatness of our beautiful country. I also ask you to please help me by donating. We can only win this fight if we can get the word out, to let people know that there is an alternative to the status quo. Getting to all the people that we need to takes time and it takes money. Please consider generously donating both. I promise you that I will not squander either. I'd like to leave you with this last thought. When Ronald Reagan took office, our country was in a terrible state. In 8 short years, he was able to turn our country completely around. Our economy, because of his policies, became the engine of the world economy. Our standing in the world as a superpower was reestablished. Our people were working hard and there was a real feeling of optimism. We can turn this around again. We should not accept that this is the way it has to be, but we have to start now. We can once again be Reagan's shining city on the hill. Working together, our best days are yet to come. I ask you to please pass this message on to all those you know and care about, and please pray for our country. And may God bless you and your families, and may God bless the United States of America.